And now we go like this. Here we go. All right, now we are learning from the Dvar Malchut. These are speeches that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave in 1991, and they all speak about Moshiach, which Moshiach is the most important topic in the world, certainly the most important in Judaism. And it's probably the most misunderstood or not understood topic in Judaism. Mashiach is going to be a person, it's like the Jews in Egypt knowing about Moses, right? If there wasn't for Moses, the Jewish people would still be in Egypt to this day. They never dreamed that they could leave Egypt. Who would dream? There was that Jew. A Jew was a slave. That's what a Jew, 4 generations of slaves. Daddy was a slave. Grandfather was a slave. Great-grandfather was a slave. My great-great-great, my great-great. That's a Jew was a slave. It was synonymous with being a slave in Egypt. Well, here in this world, now we're out of physical Egypt. We're out of. There's not even the same thing. The Egypt today is not the same Egypt as it was back then. But the Jews are the same Jews. But the exile is a different exile. And now our main exile that we have right now, especially, is in our own selves, in our own mind. Basically, in the world, it says one of the main things of Mashiach is that the nations won't rule over us anymore. The Shibud Malchus. And basically, that's what it is now. The nations do not rule over us anymore. We have a country, we have an army, we have this. And why is it that they do? Because we let them. We allow. Our mindset is that we don't know what a Jew is, and we don't know what God is, and we don't know what power we've got and what abilities we have. And so we're afraid of the United Nations. We're afraid of this. We're afraid of ourselves, right? We're afraid of ourselves. And any sort of urges that pop up, we figure, oh, maybe that's reality. Maybe that's the reason I'm here in the world, is in order to do these weird parades or stuff like that. So that we have to change our awareness of who we are, of what our identity, of what a Jew is. And once we do that, then the whole world is going to come into place. I mean, let's just take a simple example, right? The Lubavitcher Rebbe said this many times. Why doesn't someone in Israel just stand up in the United Nations and say, hey, God gave us this land. God gave us the land. We're not claiming the land because we were here first, or the Balfour Declaration, or the White Papers, or because we were here in the first temple, the second temple, and those things are not. They're important, They're very nice, very nice. I don't know the White Papers and the Balfour. I don't know how important that is. But the fact is, the Jews were here from since 3,300 years ago, and God promised that to Abraham 4,000. How long the Jews have been here? Our claim to the land of Israel is God gave the land to the Jews, and we're Jews. How do you know we're Jews? It says in the Torah. How do we know God gave it to us? It says in the Torah. That's supposed to be our identity. Our identity is we are God's people. And if we would just stand up in the United Nations and we would say, listen, we're God's people. God gave us this land, and God is creating you. So if you have any problems, take it to God. Don't take it to us. But they don't have the fortitude. They don't have the convictions. They don't have the whatever it is, education. The world is so big and we're so small, etc. So that's what the Rebbe is trying to do. The Rebbe is trying to benefit the whole world. If we would just say, listen, the land belongs to us. We're God's people. At least some people. Just think about it 1 second. This is the Holy Land. Can anybody really logically think that if the Hamas, God forbid, they would have the land, it would be a holy land? And they have any connection with God, with life, with good, with meaning, right? And the world is saying, no, there. And what do the Jews say? Well, we were here first, and come on, let us live. We went through the Holocaust. We suffered. You have to have mercy on us. That's not our claim. Our claim is God gave us the land. The land does not belong to the Jews. The land belongs to God. Oh, but you got to believe in God. And you got to believe that God told us to give the land. And you have to feel that God is really real. Well, that's what Mashiach is going to do. Mashiach is going to make it in the world that the main topic of the world will not be money or power or all these things that you're afraid of, global warming, it'll be, what does God want? God is creating me. This is totally not comprehensible. God is creating me. And the Jews will come and say, listen, you're right. It's not, but a little bit it is comprehensible. Come, let's learn. I'll teach you. I'll show you. That's what's supposed to be. The Jews are the chosen people to teach the world. God is the creator. God loves everyone. He's creating everyone from love. The Torah is the only time God ever told the world what he wants. He gave it to 3 million Jews. But if the Jews don't believe in this, Jews don't say, what can you do? Right? The land belongs to the Jews because God gave it to us. To go to a Jew and says, no, it's not so. Don't listen to him. They say a joke. Manis Friedman told the joke. It's a sick joke, but it's a good joke. That they lined up Jews. The Nazis caught a bunch of Jews. They took them out of a hiding place. They lined them up against the wall to kill them, to shoot them. And they say, okay, Jews, we're going to give you to 5. We're going to shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the Jews screams out, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. The Jew next to him says, will you shut up? You want to get us into trouble? They're just so afraid of their Jewish identity. Okay, maybe not a good joke. Here we go. Shabbos Parshas Vayeshev. This is Chav Gimel Kislev. Shabbat Mevorchim Tevis. This is the Shabbat which blesses the month of Tevet. Now this is 2 days before Chanukah. And it comes after the Chabad holiday of Yutet Kislev, which that's when the first Rebbe of Chabad got out of prison. He was put there by his enemies to stop him spreading the ideas of Hasidut out. And he won. They released him. It was an impossible miracle, but they released him. And that the Rebbe saw as a sign from heaven that he should spread out Hasidut much more. Dubar Pamim Rabot, we spoke many, many times, as Prat B'Zman Acharon, and especially recently, key that Alpi Kol Simanim, according to all the signs, Dorenu's, our generation is the last generation of exile, and therefore it's the first generation of the Geula, of the future redemption. Now, as I said before, the whole thing of Moshiach and this idea of Geula is that the potential for good inside of everything in the world, Jews first, after that every human being, after that everything in the world, the potential for good, the godliness in everything in the world will be revealed. Kavan since Shekavar Saimu, because we've already finished, said the Rebbe, we've already finished all of our service. This the Rebbe said 30 years ago. Makavar Omdim, and we are all prepared for the Gula Mitit Vashlema, the true redemption by means of the Mashiach. Take up a Miyad Mamash immediately. Yeshoalim, some people ask, Hariya Geula, Taluya, this future redemption, like Moses took the Jews out of Egypt, as Mashiach is going to take the Egypt out of the Jews. Some people say, 1 second, this future redemption, we're ready for it right now. It's supposed to come. Everything has been done. All we're ready just for it to happen. God just has to make it happen. We're ready. What does that mean? Some people ask the question, Hariya Geula, this idea of the future redemption, that the world is going to be perfected like it was God created before the Adam ate from the tree. This depends on Shekal Olam, that the whole world will be ready. Not just one person or a few people. Chabad Hasidim are the ones who learn the Rebbe's teachings or take it seriously. That's not enough. It has to be the whole world is ready. The Mashiach is going to change the whole world. Not just a little part of the world, but the whole world. Shari, because behold, the Geula Kashura, this future redemption, depends, Bekibutz Nidche Yisrael, in gathering all the Jews together from the 4 corners of the world. Begam also Bibirun Shal Umas Olam, and also the refinement and the education of all of the people of the world, Bekol Artzos, and the whole world. It says Mashiach is going to come, all the the nations, all the religions will stop. People, all the religions are lies. They're all based on on lies. The only truth there is the Torah. God gave the Torah on Mount Sinai in front of 3 million eyewitnesses. They all saw, they all heard. Panim Lapanim, it says face to face. That's the truth. Now, the rabbis who took the Torah seriously, how they explained the Torah from the time of Moses. That's the truth. Anything else is not the truth. That's a half truth, a quarter truth, a fourth truth. It's good advice, right? 1 second. Where's my picture? Where's the picture? 1 second. There we go. Heichen Roim, how can we see, people ask, Shine Bo'olam? What are you talking about? The Mashiach is going to come. The whole world has to change. How do you see that the world has changed? Sha'olam, kiyom, the world now, the world as it is now, that it's muchan, it is prepared even more than it was in the previous generations. Especially now, we see the world is really crazy. Huh? Yuvan said could be understood. Behektem, Tam, the reason, the kalalas, the whole entire chain of creation, Messiahim, and the journeys of the Jewish people in exile from place to place. Even though now we're going to see how it is that the world is ready. Ready? Even though that the fact that the Jewish people have been scattered all over the world. That's what Haman said, that the Jews are scattered all over the world. Who you read of, this is a tremendous descent, right? That's what we just learned, that God made this investment. He scattered the Jews all over the world. And the more that the Jews are scattered, you read a Gadolioter, that's how much the confusion and the descent is even more. Right? If the Jews are all together in the land of Israel, so we're like 0.2% of the world's population. That's, I think it's more than that. But okay, let's say one. But if the Jews are all scattered around, and then each and every individual Jew, wherever he's found, is like 1/1000% of the population of the world, even more. 1,000, is that logical? Is that right? 1/1000%. That means what's let's say one. See one. Yeah, so something like that. 1/1000% of the world. Yeah, even more. How many people? Okay, do the calculations after. How many people are there in the world? 8 billion people in the world. So if you're in a town where there's 10 Jews, it means you're one of 800 million. 800 million. So if the Jews are scattered around, then the greater the percentage of the world is against them. And it's harder to keep Judaism. Says the Rebbe, no. It says, the rabbis say, tzedakah asa Kodesh Baruch Hu, that God did a charity. He did a kindness with the Jewish people. He did a kindness with the Jewish people. What did he do? A kindness? Shepizran bein umas ha'olam, that he scattered the Jewish people among the nations. What type of benefit is that? Yadu Pirush, what does it mean? The inner meaning is Shezeu begalau, because of Maila Shabal Yadei Avodasam Shel Bnei Yisrael B'kol Makom Makom. If the Jewish people serve God wherever they are, that elevates that place. When Jews are scattered into strange lands, and the Jewish people they dress themselves, but often a person that's way that's permissible. Medina, according to what the people right in Mexico, they wear a sombrero, a sombrera, whatever it's called, right? And if they are in whatever the place that they are, they dress like the people, they act like the people, according to the Torah. Then b'kol makom, they eat the food wherever they are. It has to be kosher, of course, but they make it in a kosher way. When the Jewish people, and they speak the language of that place, then makom, then that refines the place. That's what we just finished learning. The sparks get raised up. Dvar, like it says, Azal the Karta, when you go to a city, Halach bin nimusa. You should go according to the customs, according to the Torah, of course. Ad shadinu, the law is ze ikar gadol. This is a very important thing. But called divrei masav matan in business. Holchim achri lashon bnei adam ba'oto makom achar aminag. In oaths also, if you make an oath, if you use the language of that place to say that I swear, right, and whatever the place, the language of the place is, in Russian, this word means to swear, then that's called an oath. The same thing is if you make a business agreement and you say, okay, I'll pay you back, I promise I'll pay you back in 1 week. In that town where you are, a week means 50 days. That's what it is, right? It means a week of weeks, right? For 7 times 7. If that happens to be the language of the place, then that's according to the law. Then the Torah changes according to the place. In certain ways, Ikar Agadol, the main thing is who Minaga Medina, the customs of that place, Minaga Medina of the non-Jews, that those are the most, that they are the usually the greatest percentage of the population in those places, in order to use these customs to serve God. Harikol Masecha L'Shem Shemayim, all of your deeds will be for the sake of heaven. You can make mistakes in this also, but especially with music, there's a lot of people say, we'll make rock and roll music and we'll put it, Shema Yisrael into it. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know, but at least it's in the right direction. It's in the right direction. Could be a terrible mistake, could be not, but at least it's in the right direction to use the permissible things of the customs of the country to serve God. Now we have to understand something, that the Jewish people, they are God's representative in the world. Once I was on a flight, an Air France flight. This was a long time ago. And I stood up and I went down I was flying to the Rebbe, to New York. And I stood up with tefillin and went down the aisle and asked people if they're Jewish, if they wanted to put on tefillin. And there were some people that did. And there's these 3 French people came over to me, a woman standing in the front of 2 men behind her. And she was the only one that spoke English. And she said, I would like to ask you a question. What is the difference? She asked, first of all, what is this that you're doing with these people? So I said, this is a Jewish commandment from God. And it's a show, I told her, that I just all of a sudden, she asked a question, so it popped in my mind, this answer. So I said, it's to show that God is not just up in heaven, he's in the earth and he cares about it. They said, okay, she translated for them. And she said, I'd like to ask you another question. What is the difference between the Jewish people and everybody else? Why do you put these tefillin on? Everybody knows the Jews are different, right? They don't go away, first of all. They're just, even the Jews don't know what they are. And they just insist that they're Jews. And what is the difference between the Jews and the non-Jews? So I said to her, the difference is that the non-Jews, they're the highest thing in the world. Humans are higher than animals. Humans can change the world. They're the highest part of creation, non-Jews. And the Jews, they're the lowest part of the creator. They reveal the creator in the world. Oh, she said that. This is very nice. She told her friends, oh, very nice. And they hugged, shook my hand. So I don't know. Maybe she said to them, shake this guy's hand. He's out of his mind. But I don't think so. She translated for them, and they were very happy to hear. And suddenly I realized that it's really true. The Jewish people, we're God's representatives in the world. We're here to tell people that God exists. God creates everybody. God loves everybody. God enlivens everybody, gives everybody eyes and nose and mouth, and he gives it for free. And God gave the Torah, and the Torah, that's the biggest gift, to tell us why we're here, what we're here for. What's good, what's bad, what's our purpose. So therefore, it says the Rebbe, when you go into the Jews are God's people. They're God's people. So when they're in the world and they do permissible things, but according to the customs of that country, so that takes the customs and elevates them. Ad Shezeh Yosef, it adds on Torah and the commandments. So B'lashon the Chassidut, in the language of Chassidut, the teachings of Chabad, Biur Maimar Chazal, like it says, Lo Higla HaKodesh Baruch Hu, that what it says, that God did not scatter the Jews among the non-Jew, among the nations, Elokadesh Yitosfu V'hem Gerim, like we just finished learning, to add what's called converts. What does it mean, converts? These are talking about Mityatcha and Tzutzot HaKedushin, the holy sparks which are found in everything in the world. So you have a toothbrush. It's a regular toothbrush. Everybody's got toothbrushes. How many billions of toothbrushes are in the world? When you use the toothbrush in order to brush your teeth so that you'll be able to say words of Torah, to clean out your mouth, so that you'll be able to speak to people and the people will be pleasant to hear what you have to say, so you're using it for a purpose to serve the creator of toothbrushes. And the creator of the world, that's a whole unique thing. You're not just using it for yourself. And that puts a little bit more order into the world. And Israel, that which God scattered the Jewish people, and all sorts of different places in the world. This is an order, levarer, to refine, lezachech, and to purify, ulalot, and to elevate these sparks which are found in those places. And therefore, that's why it says that God did a tremendous favor to the Jewish people, that He scattered them around the world. Because by means of this, there is added a maila me'avodasam, an advantage in their service, birurs, by refining these sparks of holiness which are found in even the customs of every single country and every single place. So you can, especially using the language of the place, when you explain ideas of Torah in, Portuguese or Swahili or Russian or whatever language you explain, so that takes the language and makes it, elevates it. So you can use part of the creation to serve the creator. From this, Muvanas, it's understood, Hamayla Bakach, the great advantage that there is, that the Jewish people are scattered in all these countries in the world until a way of Ufratzta. This is in the beginning of last week's Torah portion. God said that Yaakov, I'm going to spread the Jewish people. You're going to get the land of Canaan, and you are going to be spread all over. Ufratzta Yom V'Kedma, spread around the west and to the east and to the north and to the south, like the blessing of God to Jacob. Kitab by means of the service of the Jewish people, Bakal Medinas in all the countries of the world, but often in a way of Hislavshus Panimis, in a way that they actually become part of that nation. Bakal Makom Lefi Inyano, by means of this, Shemidyashvim Mugorim, that they live in this place, Umitnagim, and they conduct themselves in the customs and the things that, of course, in a permissible way in these countries. Yochel Yehudi, and Jew is able, the full bureau, to refine that place. Often in such a way, milamata lamayla, from below to above. Shall call makom, each and every place, according to how it is. So the Jews, for instance, the Lubavitcher Rebbe was, this is the idea of the Moshiach, that everyone can use their potential and bring out their potential, and to bring it out in a way that God wants it to be brought out. So therefore, a lot of people, the Rebbe encouraged them that they should even go to university. Even though the Rebbe stressed very many times, university is a terrible place and a very dangerous place, and a place where they strip a person from all values and meaning in life, and nothing really, the absolute is taught in universities, right? Everything is relative and subjective and whatever is it. But nevertheless, in university, you can learn how to be a doctor and how to be a lawyer and how to be this. You can learn those things. And if you use those things to serve the creator, to be a scientist, whatever, to serve the creator, and we have an obligation to serve the creator. Science is wonderful. Science reveals potential in the world to benefit all mankind. But it has to be used in a way that serves God. We saw the most blatant, obvious example from the Germans just 70, 80 years ago. They were genius people and they had fantastic scientists and everything. They used it all for destruction. Often in a way our job is to make a dwelling for God in the world. Tachtonim, the world, Lashon Rabim, multitude, plural. All of the worlds, the whole entire world will be Begidro Makom, Begidro who, whatever it is. So in Scotland will be revealed the unique, why God created Scotch people different, the unique good which is in the Scotch people, the people in Iceland, the unique, why there's different nature of people from Iceland than it is from the people from Greenland, from people from Brazil, from this. Everybody has their own nature, and that is in order to add to the harmony and beauty of the world if it's used properly. And therefore, God scattered Jews all over the world to teach these people that it's possible to use their nature in the way that God wants. Moshiach, which is not the case when the Jews are just found in one place, but Mokom Arai, in a temporary way, they're just passing through, Osha Mashpim Sham, or that they have an influence on another place, as Lo Poalim Sham, but often a Jew that lives, he lives in Portugal, and he doesn't have anything to do with the people around him. So he's not really having the effect, the desired effect, why God put him there. Kasher Chaim, if a person lives in the place in a set way, and he's been there, like Jews have been in, who knows, England for like 1,000 years, something like that. And these places, they've been a long time, right? There's some Jews that are in places from the time of the second temple was destroyed. In Iraq and Iran, the Jews that were there for thousands of years, longer than the people that lived there for sure. In addition to that, Metosef, there is also so when the Jews live in a place and they get the nature of the place and the customs of the place and they use those things to serve God, then that makes godliness in that place. It elevates that place. It shows that there's a creator and that the creator cares about the creation. And here's the proof. I'm serving the creator with the creation. I'm using the customs and the acts and the food of the place to do it in a kosher way, right? Make kosher enchiladas or kosher zucchini, whatever. No, not what's it called? It's called, what was it called over there? Like Lazzetti, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, I'll remember later. And they have all these French cuisines and Italian cuisines. All Yidei by means of this, but tokev of hatzlacha savoda. Kamuvan, like it's understood, simply the reason for the different customs in different places according to the Torah. We're talking about according to the Torah, between every single country, who machmas is because of a kavanos, hatchunos, the special nature that God put in every single country. Techunos v'makom, techunos anshe makom, right? You see, the nature of people in Italy is different from the nature of people in France, even though they're right next to each other. The nature of people in France is different from Spain. From Spain, I imagine the same thing in the African countries. The one's right next to the other one, right? The nature of whatever's Swahili is different from the nature of Togo or wherever these places are. Unfortunately, I don't know the names of the countries in Africa, as you see. And therefore, if you conduct yourself according to the place, is matim yoter. Therefore, it is more like this place. Maybe a davar. This brings more success. And therefore, tzorich Yehudi, a Jew, has to if you live in this place, to act according to the customs of the place, right? Don't act like a stranger, a total stranger. And then you can use even the customs of that place to serve God. Shari al Yadekach, by means of this, maybe a davar brings an addition success into that place itself. The place itself becomes blessed. Until the law is that sometimes you even have to act according to the customs of the place. This brings about that the customs of the place transforms. Lahanagash al pitor, according to the Torah. The people there, they take instead of you learning from them, they learn from you how to do things according to the Torah. Koloma. In other words, if you're doing something that has no opposition to the Torah, then the law itself obligates because the Torah it obligates a Jew to act in the customs of the place. For instance, in business, do according to the customs. Is this itself that you work in each place? It elevates the place, and there's two ways. First of all, a pu'ula panimis imatach. It's a known thing that any country where there are Jews, the more Jews there are in the country, the more successful the country is. And we say in the Haggadah of Passover, the Rebbe points this out, the Haggadah of Passover, it says that if God wouldn't have taken us out of Egypt, then we would still be slaves in Egypt. And the Rebbe asked an obvious question. God took us out of Egypt 3,300 plus years ago. And since then, Egypt has changed hands and changed nature and changed religions and changed the population many times over. So how could it possibly be? And Egypt has fallen down. It was defeated. It was defeated by the Babylonians. I think it was defeated by different nations. Alexander the Great, he defeated the. So how could it be that the Jews, we would still be slaves? So the Rebbe says very simple. If God wouldn't take us out of Egypt, we would have remained in Egypt, then Egypt would have remained strong. Because wherever the Jews are, that country is successful. Just look at Spain. Spain was once the most successful country in the world. Spain was like the United States. The Spanish Armada, this, right? I don't exactly know the history of it, but Spain evicted the Jews. And look at what Spain is now. What do they got in Spain? They have a couple of olives over there. What do they have? A castanet or something. What's in Spain? The same thing with Greece, Rome, right? Rome doesn't even exist anymore, right? The Roman Empire, Roman Empire. It's not holy and it's not Roman. It's not an empire. There's nothing left over there. Greece used to be so great, right? As soon as the Jews left Greece, they left. Then all of a sudden it's a nothing. What is it now? Same with all these countries. Who it is? Rak Mekabel Me'elyon Mashpia. This can be in a way that you can benefit the place, but the place remains a regular place. Jews just bring profit to the place, benefit. Who Rak Mekabel Elyon Mashpia. They just received an extra blessing, and afterwards it can be you can serve God in a higher way. Right? They give more leeway to the Jews to serve. Another way is, a Biur V'Zichuch is, so much the Jews are in the place that the place itself becomes a place of Torah and commandments. Until that they actually make institutions of Torah and prayer. Synagogues. Also, the Kachtad Makom made it as though it itself becomes like a semi-holy place. Ve'ena zakuk lahashpah. It itself becomes a source of holiness. And even more, the country itself, the Rebbe is going to get to France. That's what the Rebbe wants to get to. It's not as though. It'll be ofen shemagalim that you can reveal as though it is holy. The place actually becomes holy. It becomes a place of Torah and prayer and commandments and good deeds. That the place itself becomes like a godly place, something like almost like Israel. Adarabah, Anshe Makom, the people of that place, they even, the Jews there, they do Torah and the commandments from themselves. The non-Jews do the seven Noahide commandments on their own, according to the customs of the place. The place itself becomes holy. According to this, now we can understand in our generation that what Jewish people were scattered around so much around the world. It goes without saying, at the time of the Holy Temple, that the Jewish people all of them were in the land of Israel. I'm sorry, I left out a word. Up to now, the Jewish people were not scattered around. How much more so when the Jews were all in the land of Israel, they weren't scattered. In the time of the first temple, for sure. But even in the first generations of the exile, when the Jewish people, they lived just in certain places. The Jewish people were taken to Babylon, and then afterwards, at least, which is not the case now. The Jews have been scattered around in so many countries until now they're in America, a place where there never were any Jews. It's called the bottom part of the world. The top part of the world was where the Torah was given. And now there's Jews even living in America, right? They didn't even know America existed until 400 years ago, something like that. They didn't even know it was there. Well, but called Dvar V'Dvar in every generation is added on more and more. Until our generation, that now there are Jews found everywhere in the world. In the way that they do the customs even of every place. Ad she'ikimu hamshichu l'chaim, until they make over there institutions of learning Torah and commandments. America's filled. right? Even Argentina, South America. When your person thinks about this, even for one moment, you can see the amazing advantage of our generation over the previous generations. And that there is, the Jews are now scattered all over the world. Jews can refine everywhere there is in the world. Almost every place you go into the world, there's a Chabad house, there's synagogues, places to learn Torah. According to what we said before, that according to all the signs, we've already finished all the refinement of the world. So the world is ready. So now we can understand why we are all at the final last stage of the exile and the first stage of the future redemption. How is this going to be? We'll learn more tomorrow. And now let's do, okay, the Yom Yom.